Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and guys, this is our NXT review. And this episode was so amazing, I just want to take a moment and tell everybody within the sound of my voice, I don't care how you do it, I don't care if it's $9.99 a month, I don't care if it's free through some wrestling affiliate, I don't care how you get it done, you guys need to watch NXT if you haven't already. This is the best hour of wrestling that WWE produces on a weekly basis. I think puts all their other shows to shame, if I'm really being honest. It is the future, it is here, it is now, and boy is it wonderful. Ashton, what did you think of tonight's episode?
You know, John, it's amazing because I feel like every hardcore wrestling fan who's like as into the product as we are is also an NXT fan. But every single week on Reddit, when I look at the NXT live thread, there are at least one or two people saying, oh, this is my first time watching NXT. Hopefully it lives up to its reputation. And every single time it does. And I just want to throw this out there, John. You saying you need to watch NXT while we're talking about NXT on TWitWoW probably isn't the best idea, because if someone's listening to this, it's probably because they already saw the show and they want to hear somebody else's opinion on it. So my recommendation is, and this is something that I'm going to try and do too, next time we have a crappy Raw like we did last week's Raw, or was it this week's? It was this week's. Yeah. Next time we have a crappy Raw like we did this week, we should say in the opening segment, this Raw sucked. You should watch NXT on Thursday. If you haven't yet, there's never a better time to make it a first time than now.
And you know what? That's an excellent idea, because you know what? After that Raw, the doctor wrote me a prescription, and all I needed was more NXT.
I've got a fever, and the only cure is more cowbell, or in this case, more NXT.
Abso-freaking-lutely. Dude, this and here's the thing, people. Here's the thing. To bring it down just a notch. You know, it's not like every match on this card tonight was, oh my god, 5 stars, oh my god.
No, John, let me just establish something, though. The beautiful thing about NXT is they know which matches have the potential to be, oh my god, 5 stars, oh my god. And the ones that don't, they only give like 2 minutes.
Exactly. You know what the best thing, and this is going to be the last thing that I'm going to say for my my praise, you know, lauding on all these compliments on NXT before we move on to our formal review. You know a show is good that even when you and I seem just a smidge more apathetic about it on certain weeks, the worst thing we could say about it is, it was alright, or it was good. Like, it's never anything offensive or angry. We just know how terrific NXT is. I mean, I'm just going to come out and say it, Ashton. We're spoiled. We're spoiled on a regular basis, and it sets such a standard that even if they're just a few inches away from the mark, like, that's the worst that they do every so often. So that's the mark of a great show to me.
I mean, here's just to kind of put it into perspective, guys. NXT is generally supposed to be from 9 o'clock until 10 o'clock every night, or every Thursday night, and that's Eastern time. Obviously, we live on the East Coast, but generally it doesn't actually last until 10, but still, it gets close. And tonight, we were both so eager to talk about this show because it was so good, and especially the last segment, which we're eager to get to, but we'll wait. That we literally, I hit the record button to start recording this episode of TWitWoW at 10 o'clock sharp. That's how quick we were about this, because we were so excited about it.
He came around and said, John, you want to do this right now? And I'm like, absolutely, let's do it. Like, I was game for it. I was so pumped. So with that said, let's get our feet off the brakes and get right into it with Heat of the Night.
Oh, please, you know better.
I was about to say, I regret to inform everybody, I have 3. Get the hell out of here. I have no Heats of the Night tonight. I'm assuming you don't either.
No, of course not. But to replace my 3 Heats of the Night, I have 3 fun, new, and creative names for the 3 new, unestablished tag teams that we got tonight. So I'll reveal those as we go.
Sweet. So
because I know everybody loves when we come up with non-canon nicknames for people. Like, I remember how one guy was complaining how we should stop calling him Sin Hunikara because that's not an official thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to keep bringing chaos to the universe because that's what we do. And with that said, let us get into our NXT review. Oh yeah, huge rhyme scheme going on. And we begin with the last of a dying breed, Bull Dempsey, teaming up with Mr. Hype Time Mojo Rawley to take on the Vaudevillains.
It's the Vaudevillains versus bullshit.
Ah, yes! I hate these guys so much.
But the good news is we're never going to have to refer to them as that again because they lost and then Bull turned on Mojo. And even though it was supposed to be a heel turn, he promptly got thank you, Bull chants.
That really says something because you and I have been inferring for a long time that the only support that Mojo has is with his fan section whenever he has them on a given week. I didn't know the hatred for Mojo, though, was this deep. Like, I always thought that depth of hatred only came from you and I, to be honest, and maybe some others that I've never even met.
Dude, here's the thing, though, dude.
Go,
like, I think that it actually does have to do with the Mojo Rawley fan section because they stand up during his matches. Like, all of them are standing when he is around, and it's like it blocks people's view, it pisses people off, and that just makes people dislike Mojo even more because it's like not only do they dislike Mojo now, but they dislike Mojo's fans too, and it makes them like Mojo even less.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first time I've heard Bull get that kind of reception from people, and it's because he was beating the crap out of Mojo Rawley, throwing all kinds of right hands and whatnot. It seemed like he was raking at the eyes as well. And then when we thought he was finished, I mean, he was just seething. You could even see him, like, breathing this look on his face, like he wanted to just tear Mojo's head off, which ironically enough is what he told him he was going to do if Mojo screwed this up. And he goes back in and he nails his finisher, which has been aptly named the Bulldozer. And to kind of rewind this situation just a bit, I am quite happy for the Vaudevillains picking up this victory. This tag team championship tournament, I think, is shaping up quite nicely, Ashton.
Yeah, but now, dude, here's the thing. Now we have to pick between the Vaudevillains and Enzo and Big Cass. How do I pick between those teams?
I mean, I love the Vaudevillains. Don't get me wrong. I think it's the best thing that they've done, with these two guys. But Enzo and Big Cass are my boys. So I'm going to stick with them to the very end of this tournament, or until they get eliminated, whatever one comes first.
See, and I disagree with that logic because I think that Enzo and Big Cass are more likely to stay over if they aren't super successful, if they are kind of like the lovable losers of the tag team division. So I kind of feel like the Vaudevillains should win this.
It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out, because I certainly see where that logic's coming from. I mean, if you look at the quarterfinal matchup that Enzo and Big Cass, won to begin this whole thing against Ty Dillinger and Jason Jordan, I mean, Enzo Amore to me, he's like that really, he's that scrappy fighter. You know what I mean? Like that really, I don't necessarily want to say pathetic character like a Santino or Mikey Whipwreck, but in that same vein.
I think Mikey Whipwreck is actually a really good comparison for him.
Yeah, because, I mean, again, after he got super kicked by Ty Dillinger, I mean, he was so helpless. And then it was only because Big Cass came in off the boot, and he just passed out right on him, and, perfectly enough, in a covering position. So that's the essence of this team. When I describe that sequence, I'm pretty much describing what makes this team work so well. You're never going to see Enzo dominate anybody.
Enzo is pretty much cannon fodder.
Yeah, he is. But you know what, though? It works, and it resonates so great with the NXT crowd that I certainly wouldn't want them to lose it either. I would like to see them do with Enzo and Big Cass what I think they're currently doing with Bayley, who's also going to be an interesting discussion point a little later. And that's just, maybe keep teasing it a little bit, but then pulling it back a little bit, and then teasing it again a little bit, pulling it, really make them work their asses off for it. And then when you finally give it to them, I think the reaction would be stellar. And their reign wouldn't even be that long. I mean, these aren't guys that are going to go on a dominant reign. Maybe they'd even lose it at the next event. But they'll get their comeuppance. They'll get their big payoff eventually.
I love the way that they're kind of booking them as like complete opposites. Because like if you think of it as almost like, and I know this is completely unrealistic, but if you think of it as like some kind of like a video game where you have like offensive and defensive attributes, they're building it up like Enzo is this like super tough guy, like he has all this defense, but he can't do jack squat offensively. And Cass is like this glass cannon where he's got really, really great offense, but he's got like a glass jaw.
It's so funny you use that term because I was thinking glass jaw in my head, because we've seen in matches if he gets hit with like a big time finisher or something, with despite all that power and stuff, not a lot of resilience and endurance to go with it.
But Enzo
can go for days. Like, he's a fighter, and that's the interesting mixture with this team is with Big Cass, to put it in a phrase, he's a guy that wants to end matches quickly.
Yep.
Otherwise, he'll expend himself, and then he's easy pickings. With Enzo, though, I said like a Mikey Whipwreck earlier. Another thing I like to think of is like when Shawn Michaels would be in the bottom of the ninth in his matches, and he'd be tugging on the ropes, trying to support himself and this and that, but he would not lay down and die. Like, that's Enzo Amore to me, and that's why I really love this team. Would I love to see them win the tag team championships? Hell yes, I would. Do I see your logic, though? Absolutely, because I think when you have something that entertaining and that resonates that strongly with the NXT crowd, you don't want to compromise that for anything. So you got to handle it with kid gloves.
Exactly. But as we established, the Vaudevillains win this match. Bull Dempsey beats down Mojo and gets thanked for it. And we move on. We have a Sasha Banks Bayley segment. They have like a confrontation. Sasha tells Bayley that she won't be women's champion before Sasha is. And Bayley retorts with, well, it seems like you really need a hug, but you won't be getting one from me. And I was just like, oh God, Sasha, you done messed up now. You got turned down for a hug by a Bayley.
I know, right? Like, when that happens, you really need to reassess your personality.
I know. What the heck, man? That's messed up.
I was impressed at these two women because Sasha Banks pretty much tells Bayley, why don't you just go back to La La Land? You're delusional if you think, first of all, that you can even beat Charlotte in the first place, but more importantly, you're not even going to get past me tonight. And then, as you said, Ashton, Bayley throwing back in Sasha's face her currently failed relationships, which is why I made the quip last week that even though she calls herself the boss, she's kind of looking like middle management at the moment. So we see this collision of these two. And, great stuff from both sides. I love the women of NXT, and this is just further proof why.
Solid mic work from both sides, and then we get right into the match, in which case we get solid ring work from both sides. These women can frickin' go.
This was so much better than Charlotte's last title defense.
Yep.
Because that really, to me, and it's nothing against either Charlotte or Summer, they just did not mesh well together at all, and it was kind of a black mark on the NXT women's division for me.
Yeah, it was too much long blonde hair in the ring at the same time. They just clashed with each other immediately.
Should have known.
Yeah.
But these two, as you said, actually worked phenomenally together. They had a great sequence where they were trading pinning combinations. And the crowd got really into it. They showed their appreciation because at one point, Sasha kicked out of a pinning combination, and Bayley immediately transitions into the front face lock. So smooth and just excellent. And yeah, the back and forth between these two. I like the heel work from Sasha trying to evade Bayley early on so she could suck her into her personal offense. I thought that was great psychology being shown. And yeah, just great stuff from both women.
Yeah, I just want to go ahead and establish the fact that I'm a complete idiot because I said that the problem with Charlotte Summer was too much blonde hair, but then you have to look at who Charlotte's first big-time opponent was, Natalya, and it's the same thing, and it wasn't that problem at all. So apparently, it's the people and not so much the hair.
Yeah, there you go.
Imagine that. The people involved in the match were the problem, not their hair. That's so logical, it's almost too true.
Exactly. Another thing I really liked this match, but I don't know. I'm assuming, of course, it was intentional. Bayley, she gets the arms locked around the waist, and the crowd is like going there like, whoa,
yeah,
before thinking that it's going to be the Bayley to belly or the hugplex, whatever you'd want to call it. But she keeps driving Sasha into the corner. She tried doing this twice. She was going to go for it one more time, and that's when Sasha did what I said earlier, where she was just kind of evading Bayley until she could sucker her in. I thought that was great too, because the crowd knew to anticipate it, and I think Bayley worked that to her investment to create a greater investment overall in the matchup. I mean, these women just understand it, and they work it to their full advantage. I know we didn't see this. They recapped it after they went to a commercial break, but Sasha did her driving her to knees when her opponent is in the corner, which always looks devastating. Just really had fun with this match.
Yeah, it was a really fun match, and the finish came when Sasha, again, kind of driving her knees into Bayley's back, hit a back cracker or a backstabber or whatever you want to call it, and then did the roll through into her crossface finisher. Well, Bayley is a little bit more technically advanced than most of the women that Sasha has used this on, so she knows that if she can get Sasha's shoulders on the mat, that it'll be a pinfall. So she rolls Sasha onto her shoulders, and Sasha doesn't react quite quickly enough. Bayley gets the 3 count, and Sasha pops up devastated. To me, I love it because this keeps both women looking very strong. Bayley didn't tap out, and even though Sasha lost, she didn't lose because she was the worst of the two. She lost because she got caught by something she wasn't used to.
And that's the word, Ashton. You said it perfectly. She got caught. made one mistake. She made one oversight. Believe me, as a huge fan of the crippler crossface, I know that that's the Achilles heel of that maneuver. Bayley exploited it, and she has earned herself the #1 contendership for the NXT Women's Championship. I think Bayley's build has been some great stuff on NXT programming, and I wouldn't be the only one inclined to think so, because even the champions seem to have some positive things to send Bayley's way, or so it seemed.
Yeah, after the match, Bayley walked up the ramp, and Charlotte met her at the top of the ramp and shook her hand.
Yeah, and even raised her hand. Maybe she wanted to thank Bayley for taking out Charlotte's dirty laundry with her ex-best friend, Sasha Banks. I don't know, but it seems like these two ladies are on a collision course for the next NXT event, NXT TakeOver 2, and should be a great women's championship match.
Now, John, I don't know about you, but I want every title match at NXT TakeOver to be more than just one-on-one. I want the NXT Championship match to be a fatal four-way. I want the women's title match to be a triple threat, and I would even think it's pretty awesome if the tag titles were contended in a triple threat or a fatal four-way.
And you know what the funny thing is? You know, I can't even really say to you in all seriousness that I don't think it'll shake out that way, because there were things that we got in each thing tonight that makes me think that there is going to be further baggage for each champion.
Yeah.
Like, for Charlotte, kind of meeting Bayley, but then, Sasha, she got caught. And that's the thing. The nature of her loss makes me think, well, what if, because it's the 14th today. We know the event is September 11th, so there's still some wiggle room there. What if on one episode of NXT, Sasha to really prove a point, she does challenge Charlotte to show her what would have happened if she would have beaten Bayley the week prior, and she gets the non-title win, and you have your controversy. With the Tag Team Championships, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but you know what happened. We had Marcus Louis and Sylvester Lefort, come on and complain about it. We'll get more in depth when we get to their segment, that they were excluded from the tournament. So I can't even come to you with what you want and say that I find that to be nonsense, because some interesting seeds, I think, have been planted in virtually every garden.
Especially the NXT title, though.
Yeah, especially that. That, I think, is a guarantee, if you ask me. Everything else, I don't know, it's a bit ambiguous at the moment, but that, after what we saw with the NXT Championship main event, which I cannot wait to discuss with you, I think that borders on certainty at this point.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. We have the tag team of Sin Cara and Kalisto, which we will, from here on, be calling Caralisto, and the tag team of Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy, henceforth to be known as the Dubstep Cowboys.
So, Caralisto, I even said this to you because you were talking about how we're hardcore wrestling fans. Well, here's a reference for all of you guys. I haven't had so much fun watching tag team offense since the days of the SmackDown 6, when the WWE Tag Team Championships were a hot thing on SmackDown, and Edge and Rey Mysterio were a team.
Yep.
Caralisto is amazing, dude.
They are awesome together. And I can't even say, oh, they're awesome because this guy can do that, or they're awesome because that guy's better than this guy, because they are both amazing in different ways. Like Sin Cara, he's that bigger, thicker, heavier, but still super light on his feet, athletic level of luchador. And then Kalisto is just like flat out like, just give the guy wings because he can already fly.
I mean, this guy moves with the speed of light. I mean, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable what these two do together. And you know what? Much like the Mechanics, because I know they lost their debut, and so did Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy, but I hope both teams end up navigating their way through these waters and really establish themselves as something, because I like the look of Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy, and I like the entrance too. It's a great packaging, I think.
I like,
Dubstep Cowboys.
I like the look. I like the theme music. I like what they do in their entrance to match the theme music. And what I think is also very important that we haven't really talked about, I like them a lot in the ring. They are really good. And Buddy Murphy, I hate that he was bumping as much as he was, because in Australia he was a freaking powerhouse beast badass, but still, he's really good at selling for somebody that didn't need to do a heck of a lot of it in Australia.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you said that, because that was the compliment I was ready to give both guys as well. I mean, they bumped all over the place for Caralisto.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And Caralisto, when you put two human highlight reels together, you know what you get? You get a video package, so to speak, that just blows your mind every single time.
I think to be a little more succinct, when you put two human highlight reels together, you get a highlight reel. Like that's all it really is. Like this entire match, you can't skip any of it, because if you skip something, you'll miss something awesome that one of these guys did. The whole match was a highlight reel in itself.
If I had to cherry pick, if I was forced to against my will, which believe me, it would be under those circumstances that such a situation would occur, I would have to say that my two favorite double teams were definitely the Senton that Sin Cara
Dude, it was just to kind of set the scene for the very, very, very few of you who are listening to this that didn't actually watch NXT. Sin Cara got Kalisto in a wheelbarrow type maneuver, and he lifted him up and threw him onto, I don't remember which one of them it was, I think it was Buddy Murphy, where Kalisto landed in a senton. It was awesome.
It was. I was like, holy crap. And we've seen them do that before. I'm just so glad it's an established part of their tag team repertoire. And then the second thing, and I think you know where I'm going with this, Ashton.
The tag team finisher.
The tag team finisher, the power bomb, the drop kick power bomb. I mean, you know, it's funny that I was talking about Rey Mysterio and Edge, because I think one move that they used to do, and if not them, it was certainly Batista and Rey Mysterio, where they would do the powerbomb senton. This I liked even better than that. I just thought this was a really cool variation on doing a powerbomb. I mean, the guy's up in the air, and then Kalisto drop kicks him down. It's just excellent. Yeah. Excellent by Carlisto. And then Sin Cara makes sure that, because I believe that was to, I want to say, Buddy Murphy. Yeah. Cara neutralizes Wesley Blake, and then Kalisto nails his finisher. I forget the technical term, because I know we established it in our last review where we talked about Kalisto and Sin Cara. But, you know, he hits it. It's over. And these guys are set to take on next week Adam Rose and Sami Zayn. And things are just getting crazy now.
Dude, if that match goes over 5 minutes, it's going to be amazing. Like, even if it doesn't go over 5 minutes, it's going to be amazing. But if that match gets over 5 minutes, I know this is going to sound really retarded, but it's going to be like borderline match of the year material.
It is. I mean, well, look at the people involved, dude. And you can even count, thankfully, you can count Adam Rose among there, because when he's on NXT, he gets time.
Yeah.
So you'd be able to see his, dude, you've got such a medley of superstars meeting next week.
Dude, they could literally just all four find their way into the ring via tags and do their signature offense and then tag out, and it would be an amazing match all by itself.
Exactly. They don't even have to do much. Really, at this point, you just show up, let their presence soak in the crowd to kind of incite them to do this is awesome chance before they even touch each other, kind of like Shield and Wyatt's did. And then when they do just get physical with each other, oh man, things are going to go down next week. I can't wait. I mean, where NXT is headed, with, you know, their remaining TV tapings before NXT TakeOver 2, and how NXT TakeOver 2 itself is shaping up. Dude, NXT is putting every other show right now to shame. Like,
it is. It really is.
I'm telling you, if all these shows could talk to each other, SmackDown and Raw are bickering amongst themselves. Raw saying, well, I'm the A show, and SmackDown's missing its identity, and NXT is all the while like, it's irrelevant. It doesn't even get involved because it doesn't need to, because when you're winning, there's no reason to defend yourself. Yep. And yeah,
that's like what WWE always said back when they were WWF and going against WCW. It was like, when we were in the lead, we just didn't care, but then all of a sudden WCW took the lead, and they just kept taking shots at us even though they were winning, and that was kind of their downfall.
Right, exactly. Just have that nonchalant attitude, and you know what? I love it, because these are developmental guys, dude. These are guys learning the ropes to come to Raw or SmackDown.
Dude, I don't know how much attention you pay to the Squared Circle subreddit, but when I went on there yesterday, and I think it was the day before as well, they had an image up that was like the next generation, and it had like frickin', it was all former ROH guys. Like, it was Steen, Devitt, Kenta, Bryan, I'm trying to think of everyone that was on. It was like Rollins, Cesaro, like it was just this Sami Zayn. It was so, and just the idea that Sami Zayn, formerly known as El Generico, is now on the same roster as Kevin Steen in the WWE. Like, if you are an independent wrestling fan or a Ring of Honor fan or just a hardcore wrestling fan in general, and that didn't make you explode in your pants just a little bit, you might be numb to all feelings.
Yeah, that's my diagnosis as well. I'm going to come right out and say it, but I'm going to be very careful in qualifying my statement because I know there are all types of wrestling fans, and I don't want to really offend any of them. I understand wrestling is a worldwide thing and not just narrowed down to these two. But as far as the mainstream America is concerned, WWE and certainly TNA, I think years ago had legitimacy to the claim that they had the best locker room going of talent. WWE, they don't even see the line anymore that they left from. It is just ridiculous, the talent that we have right now. And then the recent signing of Steen, as you just said, I mean, come on now. He is now back in the same locker room as Sami Zayn, formerly El Generico. Are you kidding me? Like, we're killing it right now. How many undercard guys on Raw or SmackDown, where supposedly is where you want to aspire to be because that's your gateway to pay-per-views and everything else, how many of them do you think go into the upper offices and say, can I please go to NXT?
I know, right?
I'm telling you, like, I'm
Dude,
not even...
I know this is really selfish of me, but I wish Dolph Ziggler would get a shot at NXT.
I do.
Just seeing him having matches with Neville and Zayn and Breeze and even Tyson Kidd on a regular basis is just mind blowing to think about.
Oh god, dude, Ziggler and Breeze trying to outsell each other. It's like, now you go off the rope and you bump that, and then. But look, I'm so glad you said what you did though, because I was gonna say, look, guys. I'm not trying, because everybody knows I've been watching WWE for well over a decade. Ashton, you the same way. We're all, and Raw, I think, has, except for that last Raw, which was horrendous, they put out a good product. SmackDown, I felt like this past week, along with that same horrendous Raw, last week, they put out a good product. But, like NXT, that's what I really eagerly await from WWE each and every week.
And that's the crazy thing is, I don't even look forward to NXT that much every week, but then it shows up and it just makes me happy. Like, it's not even something that I think about ahead of time. It's not like I'm going into Monday night thinking, oh, we're going to get through Raw because NXT's on Thursday and that's going to be awesome. I'm just thinking, oh, I hope Raw doesn't suck tonight. And then even after Raw's over, I'm just like, oh, I need a break from wrestling. I don't even think, oh, it's okay, NXT's going to give me a break from this on Thursday. And then it shows up, and it does.
It's crazy what this does. And I think the reason, and I can understand that, I think the reason we try and sell it so hard is that maybe people are a little off-put that these are the guys that are being groomed, that these aren't necessarily established guys, unless you are an indie junkie, which I never have been.
Well, I mean, I will say this. NXT is great if you are a masochist, because you will watch all of your favorites get absolutely ruined when they get called up to the main roster.
It is, because, like, me and Ashton here have gone through so much despair because we think, Bo Dallas! And we'll, like, Mario over all these people, and then, like, you can't necessarily say they're doing horrendous, but compared to how they did in NXT, all you want to do is facepalm your ass off and just ask that inevitable question, what went wrong? I have become, it's funny that you used the term selfish when you said you want Dolph Ziggler in NXT, because I have become selfish with these talents. I don't want them to leave, because I get scared about what the future holds for them, and we should be happy and encouraging them out of the nest. It really is like that bird metaphor, pushing them out of the nest so they can soar, but I feel like they're flying so much higher in NXT than most talents have on Raw or SmackDown. Like Big E, he came in hot, won the Intercontinental title. What's he doing? I thought he was going to be a part of a cool angle with Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. He's just there. On NXT, he had rock star receptions. This is the place to be, and there's just no question of that.
Yep. It's there's kind of a revolution going on.
Absolutely, dude. No mistaking it. Unbelievable.
Absolutely. All right. Well, as we get done talking about the Carlisto versus Dubstep Cowboys match, we can talk about the promo that we got from the Legionnaire. It was Sylvester Lefort and Marcus Louis, and all they really said was that they think that it's ridiculous that Enzo and Big Cass are in the tag team tournament and they aren't, because all those guys do is run around calling everybody soft, but they're all just comme ci, comme ça, which in French, I know this because I took 1/3 of a year of French in middle school, basically just means, they're all right.
Right, yeah, I knew I had heard that phrase before because I'm like, where have I heard that before? And what does it mean? Yeah, it makes perfect sense now. So thank you for the 1/3 of your French education. It was also equaled out to just enough. So yeah, I enjoyed this work from these guys. They pretty much seemed to imply that they were going to mess the tournament up. I'm guessing they are probably going to screw over Enzo and Big Cass. So I'm just going to say this right now. I do believe the Vaudevillains are going to advance. I do. I
Yes,
think Marcus,
yes.
Louis, and Vessel Ford are going to cost Enzo and Big Cass, which is fine because again, that builds sympathy. That just continues the ascent to the top of the mountain. So good stuff from them. Nothing more you can say than that.
Absolutely. Up next was our main event of the
Oh,
evening. Tyler Breeze versus Adrian Neville. Match of the night by far, but just holy crap. Match of the week, I would probably even go as far as to say.
dude, the last 10 minutes of this thing, the last like 5 to 10, I'm like, what? And even the beginning, like that's not taking anything away from the opening minutes of this match. I mean, they're really feeling each other out. It was a nice slow pace, but then Neville starts to disorient Breeze, just going everywhere, jumping to avoid Breeze left and right, like really throwing him for a loop. And when he seems like he's going to vault over the ropes on the outside, Breeze uses his athleticism to sweep Neville's legs out from underneath him, like with his legs, and then he begins the offense. Like they had such a tremendous back and forth. God, I love Tyler Breeze and Neville so much because when Neville's in the ring, because he seems to have been kind of like under the radar a little bit recently, cutting promos, having a presence, sure, but I almost forgot how good he was in that ring, dude. These guys killed it.
The one thing that I felt like I had to keep on pointing out while we were watching this match, Tyler Breeze has the best last split second kickouts in the industry right now.
It's funny because in our opening segment, I made one comparison, with Enzo Amore and Mikey Whipwreck. Tyler Breeze, I think, is certainly, in my opinion, like Shawn Michaels in how he knows how to do a near fall. Because it takes your breath away every time. He caught me so many times this match where I'm like, oh, thank God. Or, come on, Breeze, get him. And, oh, why? And then just the back and forth that these two established together was some of the best work I have seen in quite some time. They got me, and I was a fish so gleefully on that hook, and they reeled me in with ease.
Yeah, this match was really just amazing. And it had a great flow to it as well, because to open things out, it really was the Adrian Neville show. He had the advantage, and next thing you know, Breeze just starts mounting this comeback, and Breeze was in firm control of this match for a solid, probably like 7 or 8 minutes, man. Like, he was just dominant, and it wasn't even like all him just throwing out offensive maneuvers every 3 seconds. But it was just a firm control of the pace of the match that Breeze was in.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was really aggressive. It was, like you said, it was a firm hold on this match. It wasn't like, oh, it could slip away from it at any moment. No, I mean, Tyler Breeze, with his offense, seemed secure when he was dominating. Really enjoyed the aggressive streak. Crowd was all into this matchup. But then Neville begins the comeback, and it just goes from like that great range to holy Sharzel balls. Like, what are we even watching right now?
Yeah, it was great. I don't even want to say it was a great back and forth, because that would imply that like one guy hits an offensive maneuver, then the other guy hits an offensive maneuver. I like the way I said it earlier. It just had a really great flow to it.
Absolutely. I mean, you had at one point Neville looked like he was going to go for the red arrow. Breeze rolled out of the way, but then when they're on that top rope and they are doing things, it gets crazy. And then just the spot that keeps sticking out in my mind, and I've just got to say it now to get it out of my head, that DDT to Neville, though.
Dude, okay, so again, for the very, very few of you who are listening to this that didn't watch NXT, we had Tyler Breeze on the top rope and Neville standing on the mat. And Breeze does a tornado DDT to Neville. And Neville lands head first, does a headstand, continues his momentum forward, looks like he's going to no-sell it and stand on his feet, and then does a flare flop forward.
He sold it like death.
He did.
Pretty much what I had to say when we were watching. I was like, oh my God, he's dead.
Yeah.
I was like, cover him. And then, yeah, it's just ridiculous, dude. Absolutely ridiculous. You have Neville do a dive to the outside. I think it was like a suicide dive to Breeze. So you could tell the match was like, to put it in literary terms, I would say that DDT was kind of the climax, and then like everything else was the falling action. Like you knew it was going to resolve itself in just a matter of minutes. It was only a matter of time. All the while, Tyson Kidd is out there scouting this thing. He moves from the announce table, gets a closer view in the audience. Neville responds because he was just very distrusting of Tyson Kidd's presence with a super kick right on the mush. Gets Breeze in the ring. Looks like he's going to go for the Red Arrow. I was hoping Breeze would dodge again because I just really didn't think, honestly, that Tyson Kidd was going to recover out of that super kick. But he did. He tripped Neville up, caused the DQ, and then things just broke down from there, Ashton.
Yeah, dude, this post-match beatdown was legend status. You have Kidd beating the crap out of Neville, and then Breeze takes offense because Kidd cost him the match and cost him the opportunity to win the title. So he starts going after Kidd, and he does like the thing where he pulls his feet out underneath him and starts doing think Thez press, but without the jump. Like it's a lot more passive version of the Thez press, and he starts doing the punches, and then Kidd gets the upper hand on him. But then while Kidd has the upper hand on him, he's not going to stand for it, so he gets the upper hand on Kidd. And then when he has the upper hand on Kidd, here comes Adrian Neville out of nowhere, starts beating down Tyler Breeze, and then next thing you know, you have Breeze and Kidd beating down on Neville, double team, and then Sami Zayn comes out of nowhere, and he comes out and he clears the ring, and just, I want a Fatal 4-Way so bad, and I want it to be 25 minutes and everything. Like, just please, WWE.
And you know what? Like, again, not to keep it on the praise of NXT here, but like you saying that, like, if anybody would deliver, it would be NXT. Like, everything that you want. And what I loved about this, Zayn is holding the NXT Championship as we close this show to give back to Neville. Like, he didn't imply, like, oh, I'm celebrating with this or whatever. But, like, just seeing him hold it, he had to think in the back of his mind, God, I wish I was in this position. How do I get in this title picture? How do I get back? Because, he's in this tag team title match with Adam Rose, but I think the one thing that Sami Zayn has done so well through his promos and just through his character is just demonstrate just how bad he wants to be the world champion. Like, he is starving for it. We are seeing starvation in Sami Zayn. And this idea that we'd get a Fatal 4-Way, to me, I think Neville's days are numbered. I do think he's going to lose it at TakeOver 2. That is my opinion. But I think if it is a Fatal 4-Way, the two favorites would have to be Breeze and Sami Zayn, and that's not something I want to be caught in the middle of because I already told you how I broke my percentages down. I would be supporting 75% Breeze, 25% Zayn, but as far as actually calling it, that's something I just dread being in the middle of because who do you say wins a match like that? It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I told you if this ends up being a Fatal 4-Way match involving Zayn, I love Breeze, but I'm putting all my chips into the table for frickin' Sami Zayn, dude.
And you know what? I don't blame you, and I don't blame anybody who shares that sentiment with you, because if anybody should have been an NXT champion already, it is Sami Zayn. I still say, nothing against Neville, but I'm still of the belief that Zayn should have been the one to end Bo Dallas's reign. If you want me to be perfectly honest, at the time I thought Adrian Neville was kind of like an out-of-nowhere sort of pick. So if anybody's overdue for a run with that championship gold, it is Sami Zayn. But I think Breeze has just got all the momentum right now, all the relevance. I think he's got one of the best characters on NXT. In fact, I would say he has the best character on NXT, in my personal opinion. He's got all the cards in his hand. It's like you think one guy is just holding a flush, just powerful enough, but then somebody among them is holding a royal flush, and everybody's gonna have to play their hand. And I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, it's insanity. It's absolute utter insanity is the word I keep coming back to describe the events that transpired to close this show. I am so stoked for TakeOver the sequel. It is going to be something. If nothing else, its main event match, I think, is going to deliver on all cylinders.
And I don't even know what the main event match is yet, but I completely agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, if the main event match is what was heavily implied in those closing moments, then, oh my God, live reactions is going to be legendary.
Definitely.
I don't even know. I don't even know. Like, it's one of those things where the feelings that you and I are having right now, Ashton, coming off this show, you could not get any more opposite. It's like the complete ends of the earth from how we were feeling about when Raw closed. It's unbelievable. This excitement, this uncontainable energy we're feeling. NXT's killing it, guys. I mean, Ashton's absolutely right. When we're doing an NXT review, it seems a bit circular, to sell NXT because you just want to get that alternative perspective. You're already watching it. But for those who listen to our Raw and SmackDown reviews who don't, man, we gotta keep selling it hard because it is the best product that WWE is putting out.
Yeah, but like I was saying earlier on in the show, we need to start selling it on our other episodes of TWitWoW that get more views because people just don't care about NXT as much as they should.
And that's a shame.
Yeah.
They're missing out because even from that image that you showed me and that you were referencing earlier with all of the indie phenomenons, as I like calling them, because as I told Ash and I have a personal dislike for the term indie darling, but all the indie phenomenons that you showed me that we now have, are you kidding me? Like, it is the must-see show of WWE right now, and then that's really how I'm gonna phrase it to close. Dude, do you have any?
Dude, it's so strange because like I feel like Raw is the Big Bang Theory and NXT is Breaking Bad. Like everybody's watching this one show and complaining about how dumb it is and how bad it is. And then there's this other show that exists that just needs a little more publicity. I just hope that NXT can get, anywhere close to, relatively, of course, as big as Breaking Bad got. Because at first, Breaking Bad wasn't that huge, and then by the end, it was exploded. Like, it was huge. I want NXT to be that. I want NXT to be a big deal. I want people to love NXT, but I want the 5 million people that watch Raw every week to love NXT as much as we do.
And the fact that NXT, and we've said it so many times, this is Triple H's pet project. People have gone as far as say this is Triple H's baby, like the care, the time, everything they've put into it. The facility, the training facility that they built, where, majorly NXT talents use it. I mean, yeah, you've got your main roster guys coming in and out, but I think it's primarily for NXT, to work on their promos, to work on their cardio, their physique, everything else. And the time and the effort and the money and just everything that's been put into this, he has got to be beaming with pride when he sees episodes like this. And he sees efforts like the ones being given by these talents. Because, to me, if we got those efforts on a Raw and a SmackDown, like, I would be the happiest wrestling fan on the face of the earth, without question. And just the fact that we get this little sliver, like an hour a week, it is just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I am so proud of all these.
And dude, here's my thing. Every week, not every week, but every now and then, I say about how, oh man, like Raw at 3 hours is so lame when NXT only gets one. I wish they would give NXT some of Raw's time. But at the end of the day, the more I think about it, the more I feel like that would ruin it almost. Because like, I think one of the things that makes NXT so great is that you can never get enough of it because it's only 1 hour. You get that 1 hour in and it's just like, oh, that was so good. Now I have to wait a whole week to get more of it. And it actually makes you want more rather than giving you more than you want, which is what Raw does right now.
Right, the day that NXT, which I hope it never does, but if the day ever comes where NXT says, it goes the mentality of too much of a good thing, even with an extra hour, making it a 2-hour program, which I think is fantastic for their events like TakeOver and soon to be TakeOver 2. It really does become too much of a good thing and overexposure. I think the hour that they have forces them to do the roster rotations that you and I have become so fond of.
And that WWE on Raw, they're even starting to do that, but to a much lighter degree.
Exactly. And come to think of it, Ashton, since we're having this discussion, I remember where I think Impact was at its hottest, but then again, it was a much different day and age in every facet, creatively and everything else, when they were just an hour-long program each week. Like, I was originally excited when they had gone to 2 hours, but you know what, really thinking back, when they were only an hour a week, you thought to yourself, oh, please, I hope I see AJ Styles tonight, or I hope I see Monty Brown tonight, or things like that. And, they had the rotation like NXT is doing now. And I think there is something about it that works. And I think you summed it up quite succinctly when you said it makes people want more. And I'll sure as hell be coming back for second helpings next week because NXT is on fire right now. I'm loving the storyline that it got set up.
Absolutely, dude. Let's get into our next segment.
High spots and low shots. Didn't feel like many winners and losers emerging from this show. But my low shot, you know what? I'm going to say my low shot is Mojo Rawley.
Yeah.
Didn't come through for his tag team partner. His tag team partner, Bull Dempsey, even told him, you screw this up for me, I'm going to kill you. He ate the pin of the Vaudevillains, which it's so nice to see Mojo Rawley actually eat a pin instead of, delivering them for a change.
Yeah.
And Bold MC, he came through on his promise. He beat down Mojo Rawley. He hit the bulldozer. Ash and I were hoping that this may be a way for them to write Mojo Rawley off television. And I hope he comes back as a heel. I hope he heard the reaction he got when he was being beat down and helpless. And he turns his back on the crowd. He embraces that arrogant, snobbish, football side like we talked about. And he comes back better than ever. And I don't know what it means for Bold MC, but he took his frustrations out. So, yeah, Mojo, bad night to be you.
Yep. And my low shot is, and I regret doing this, but I feel bad for her, so I'm going to say my low shot Sasha Banks, because, yeah, she may not have been the worst woman on this night, but she still got defeated. And not only did she get defeated, but she got defeated, and then her former best friend acknowledged and respected the person that defeated her. So, kind of like a slap in the face there on top. It's like pouring salt in the wound, or like an insult to injury, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad. It was a phenomenal effort, like you said, but I think that was the perfect choice, because she was the other person I was thinking of, but I'm like, you know what? If I don't pick her, I know Ashton will, and you came through, so I think that's an excellent choice. High spot is difficult, because I almost cheekily want to say the NXT universe, and you and I are the high spots, because this was such a phenomenal episode of television. NXT just killed it tonight, the Hour of Power. But if I had to pick, I will say that I'm keeping along that same line. I'm going to say that my high spot is Bayley. I mean, she's been working hard to get the NXT Women's Championship shot. This was just a number one contendership, but that's the first really crucial step. Had a great match with Sasha Banks, and even got acknowledged by Charlotte. I'm assuming it amounts to nothing more than head games, and Bayley, I think, even knows that, because she kept an eye close on the champion. But I think these women can do wonderful things come TakeOver too.
Yeah, definitely. I'm having a tough time deciding my high spot, because I'm tempted to say the Vaudevillains, because they beat the two most OP people in NXT right now.
Right.
But then I'm also tempted to say Carlisto, because they just had an amazing exhibition match tonight. And then part of me almost wants to say Adrian Neville, because he survives with the NXT title for one more night thanks to Tyson Kidd. But at the end of the day, I'm going to not say any of them, and I'm going to say Sami Zayn, because he was completely out of the NXT title picture, and he managed to insert himself back into it simply by coming to the defense of the champion tonight.
Yeah, he regained championship relevance under the guise of friendship.
Yeah.
And any guy who can do something that major by exerting so little effort, is certainly somebody that should be commended for it. I think that's an excellent choice, because I think Sami Zayn's presence, whether he meant it to just be an innocuous save of his friend and nothing more than that, I think has completely changed the landscape of where I thought this was going to go. Because the funny thing was, Ashton, and I even remarked to you during the course of the Neville Breeze matchup after Tyson Kidd had interfered, or I think I even said it even before he got physical in the match, I said, watch us get a triple threat at TakeOver 2 with Breeze as the champion. But now I think it's just gotten a hell of a lot more complex than that, thanks to Sami Zayn and Adrian Neville surviving for one more night.
Yeah, dude, I even said the same thing. I was thinking, well, when Kidd interfered to cause the disqualification, I was thinking, okay, well, now apparently we're going to get a triple threat. And then Zayn shows up, and I popped my mind out, and it was just like, oh, yes, Sami Zayn's going to be involved too, please.
It's terrific. I loved this episode. Like I said, just a great piece of television programming. Everybody should take a bow tonight for their efforts. And then you think the week prior, guys like CJ Parker and Xavier Woods killed it. Like, don't underestimate these guys. And I'm even saying it, to the people that do watch NXT regularly, if there are talents that you don't like, I've really learned, thanks to NXT, not to write anybody off completely. I have. That's why I'm still holding my chips out for Bold MC and Mojo Rawley and those guys, because CJ Parker made a turnaround with me. Bo before him made a turnaround. Like, there's something special about NXT, from its programming right down to the talents themselves. These guys work.
I think that the great thing about NXT is they can try things, and if they don't work, they can just kind of keep pushing it until the crowd completely turns on it, and then boom, you have a great heel in your hands because the crowd resents them.
It's a live-action Petri dish. You just keep doing things until something sticks. You keep experimenting until something works. And we get to observe it all from the comfort of either our internet connection to the WWE Network, or for the very lucky people at Full Sail University, right in those seats, right in the audience. And it's amazing. And speaking of the audience, the crowd again was phenomenal tonight.
Oh yeah.
That's another
Bailey's
thing
gonna hug you chant, Sasha's ratchet. We had thank you bull. We had bull, 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 bull. We had just so many.
This is
great
awesome
chants.
for the main event.
Absolutely, yeah. It was. I'm sure we got Breeze's gorgeous chants, even though I didn't notice them specifically. I'm just kind of assuming that that's just a thing that they do. It was just awesome.
That's another thing. I think NXT's atmosphere in general. I mean, while I approved of the crowd even at this past Raw, which I even said that was the only high point for me of this Raw above all others, was the crowd, because they actually seemed very participatory, very reactive to the content presented. NXT every single week, they are so appreciative to be there. And like I know you mentioned after a certain show, like a Raw, a SmackDown, or some kind of an event or some kind of angle, sometimes it will leave you burned out. Sometimes it will leave you wanting to pull your hair out and be like, oh, why am I still here? But I gotta say, among many things that NXT does, the fans are one of the reasons why I'm so proud to be a wrestling fan, because I'm like, that is awesome. So, good on you guys. High spots, low shots. Ashton, is there anything else you want to say about this NXT?
No, it was just fun.
No, it was phenomenal. Guys.
Phenomenal.
10 points for you. Guys, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. Comment and subscribe on YouTube. You know you want to. Discuss on Tweetoff. Mark out over NXT with us. We welcome it. Absolutely. Come bring that NXT love, and we will see you again. Well, actually, for our preview and predictions first for SummerSlam, then our live reactions, and it's going to be a fun night. So, biggest party of the summer, and then, of course, to tune in with us for our Monday Night Raw review for the best coverage of all, the SummerSlam Fallout. So, it's going to be a very interesting next week, indeed, and weekend. So, until then, take care.